What up, IDS Mob? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. And so on today's show, we're going to be talking about a video clip that I recently saw from a video content creator and relationship guru named Stephan Speaks. And he put out this video called Things Men Don't Understand About Women. And one of the points that he made in there was talking about this idea of the difference between a woman's experience versus the content, and how important it is for women that the experience makes them feel a certain way, regardless of what the content actually is. And I thought it was a great video and point that he made to kind of go off into a tangent about like what that means for you in terms of your dating life. When you're going out on these dates, when you're meeting women, what kind of experience are you giving them versus just trying to spew a bunch of stuff about yourself into their ear, hoping that that's going to turn them on. So we're going to go over that video. We're going to talk about what that looks like for you so you'll have a better idea of how to better attract women's attraction for you and stuff on dates. And we're going to get into some other cool stuff. Plus, as always, this show is ultimately about you guys. So if you have any questions you want to ask me as it pertains to your dating life or the subject at hand, you are welcome to leave your questions in the chat and I will be sure to get to them. So with all that said, let's get into this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
And of course, guys, this show is brought to you by introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can go there for all my ebooks, audiobooks, and programs, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Right now, we have a monthly special going on. This is called Pay What You Want May. You can go there and get any one of my 3 best-selling ebooks at whatever price. Just go to checkout, type in a number, and that is what you will pay for any of these ebooks. So if you want to learn how to be a better texter, if you want to learn how to get your ex-girlfriend back, and if you want to know what not to do when you're trying to date, then these books will give you a leg up on the competition. And again, it is Pay What You Want May. So go there, pay whatever price, and download your ebook today. And while you're there, be sure to read over and check out what I have to offer in my Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program. It is a 12-week program that is life transforming for you as a guy. If you've been having struggles with dating, you have blind spots, maybe you're not as confident of a guy as you would like to be, you don't know the right way to approach women, what kind of conversations to have, how to attract them, how to get into a relationship and then keep that relationship. These are the things that we go on the front page at introvertdatingsuccess.com. All right. So before we get into today's show, we have a question in the chat. And the question goes, do you think it's possible for women to be satisfied in a relationship where they're older/dominant? Well, you're talking about 2 different things because older does not mean dominant. Older just means that number-wise in age, she's above you. I have dated women who have been anywhere from 1 to 2 years older than me, and yet I still felt as though I was the one leading the relationship because ultimately, a woman at any age is going to look for her guy to be the one that's leading the situation. And so more often than not, just because they're older doesn't mean that they're going to be the ones that are feeling as though they're in the leadership position, nor do most women I find want to do that. I just did a whole video talking about Bumble and how they had to change over because they were giving women the power to be able to reach out to men first and start the conversation, kind of find out women across the board didn't want that power. So it really speaks to this idea that regardless of what generation you're in, at the end of the day, traditional gender roles are going to play out. And so even if a woman is older than you, more often than not, an older woman is still going to want you to be the one to wear the pants. Now, with that said, if you're asking the other question, which is, do you think it's possible for women to be satisfied in a relationship where they're dominant? The honest answer, and it's one that people will probably fight you on or fight me on for saying it, ultimately no. Like, there's different areas of a relationship, I'll say, where like in some cases it's appropriate for her to be dominant, like if she's a dominatrix, and in the bedroom setting, that's a different location. And even then, most of the time, women are going to want you to take the lead. But I have just found it just in my personal life from observation, when women are put in a dominant role, they're not typically all that happy in it. And I have found that those relationships, more often than not, at least from what I've observed, either don't really last or the guy is not really happy and the woman's kind of not happy. You know, I've been fortunate. I have all kinds of lawyers and doctors and women in my family that are in these higher up positions. I've also seen them married to men. And when these women have these high powering positions and they're the ones that are quote unquote wearing the pants, like I had one older cousin, which, you know, in the Black community, older cousin that's older than me is like aunt, right? So I had an older aunt who had married a guy and made him change his last name. That marriage did not last. Now, does that one incident mean that that guys that do that, it never lasts for them? It does not mean that. But what I'm saying is, just based on pure biology and what women across the board are typically saying they want from guys, most women are wanting guys to come along that are going to be dominant. Now, this doesn't mean in a mean way. And sometimes when men hear the word dominant, they get scared because they're like, but I don't want to be dominant and tell a woman what to do and like not have her have say. That is not what dominant means. But it does mean when, you know, hard decisions arise, you're going to be the one that's making that final decision. If danger comes upon you, you're going to be expected to step out and take control of the situation, okay? So being dominant is not a bad thing, but men that feel it's a bad thing sometimes want to put that on the woman because they think, okay, if she's the dominant one, then she'll never feel like she's being threatened and she won't see me as a threat and she'll be able to see that I'm trying to respect her. But women just want to be with a guy that's a competent leader. So I'd say for guys, focus more on that because, again, more often than not, most women are going to be looking for a guy that is willing to take on that leadership position, all right? Now, if you find yourself as a guy struggling with that, then that just means that for whatever reason, you haven't had a proper role model to be able to show you what positive dominance looks like. Like women want a guy that's going to lead them in a positive way, one that they're willing to follow. Like when I've dated women, they have been ones that have been willing to take my lead. Like I will go into relationships doing things like, hey, so like, where do you want to go to eat? Every response I get, oh, you decide. Hey, I want to go away for the weekend. Like, I have an idea where I want to go, but like, I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, whatever you pick is fine. Like, most women don't want to make a decision. If they have a job, they're already at work making decisions during the day, and that exhausts their brains. Whereas men, we are workhorses. We have been built and biologically designed to be able to work and work and work and work. And even if it gets us tired, it's not going to prevent us from working or completely wear us out faster than it will wear out women. So that's why they want to leave most of the decision-making to us. So all that to say, yes, it's possible, but it's highly unlikely. And even if you do find a woman that is willing to take on a domineering position, more often than not, they're not going to be happy. And they may end up trying to leave you for another guy that's more dominant. Proof of this is that you have women that are in higher positions that make like $100,000 a year or more that will say, but I want a guy and I still want that guy to make more money than me, be stronger than me, be able to lead us. So even women that are higher up and dominant still want to be able to submit to a more dominant man. It just means that for purposes of the level she's on, she wants him to be so dominant that it becomes almost like delusional for them to think they can find that guy, but that doesn't take away their want, because even when they get to those high levels, them having a high level ranking or a high level set of money, it doesn't take away the biology part that says, but I still want a guy that's going to be higher up than me and better than me and stronger than me and more money than me and be able to protect me and all those other things, you know? So that's why more often than not, women aren't trying to find a guy that is going to make them be the dominant one. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. So before we get into the main topic today, I did want to go over this. So I found in my dating journey that one of the reasons I was struggling early on was because I didn't really have a blueprint or a guide for like simple things. Like simple things like, hey, if you're at a movie theater and there's a girl next to you and you want to put your arm around her, what's the sequence for that? What's the easiest way I can do that to where it's going to be comfortable for her? You know, like that was a struggle I had as a teenager. And then getting into college, it was like, okay, how can I tell when they want me to make a move on them, when they want me to ask them out? And of course, how can I tell if the girl wants me to kiss her? Now, today, in today's climate, again, I'm not a young dater now. I have heard that consent is on the rise, meaning that there are more guys that are willing to ask a woman for consent about a kiss, and women don't seem to mind that. That's what I've heard. Now, you guys that are younger can let me know if that's true or not, because I don't know if that's true or not. But I still find to this day, more often than not, that most women, if they want to kiss you, they're not going to be the ones to make the most overt move. Like they're going to give hints and signs of things, and that's going to be their way to signal to you that it's time for a kiss. But what does that look like? That's the thing I can never figure out, was like, what does that look like, you know? And granted, on this show, I've said, looking at movies, TV shows, those aren't the best avenues to try to get an idea about what women want in terms of relationships or what's going to actually work. Like, guys give these, grandiose speeches about love and we should be together and blah, 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 blah. And most of that doesn't work in real life, right? But the one thing I will say that media in Hollywood does get right is, like, the actresses know how to give off the kind of looks and body postures and glances that you as a guy need to be looking for, that would be indicating that she would probably want to be kissed. Because even in this day and age, with women's lib, with women leading the charge, they are still looking for the guy to be able to just tell that they're ready to be kissed. Now, that's probably going to frustrate some of you guys that are like, but how am I supposed to know what that looks like? Because they're always saying this, doing this. So I found a video on TikTok where by this woman, her ring bell accidentally recorded the first time her and her now, I want to say either boyfriend or husband, got kissed, like where he kissed her, right? And so she was very happy that she got this on camera and put it on TikTok. And I'm happy she put it on camera, because this video does a great job of being able to look at her and see where her movements are to give indications of how was she posturing herself? What kind of look was she giving? What was she doing to signal to this guy, hey, it's time for a kiss? And I think it's good for you to see that, guys, because for those of you that struggle like me, you may not be aware that when women are doing these things, these are the things that are supposed to signal to you, it's go time for a kiss. So let's go ahead and bring that up to the screen. Let's go up here. All right, so this is the video. So she says, I'm gonna stop along the way and read the parts. And the music you'll hear in this is from one of my songs, because the music they have was copywritten. And so I own my songs. I can put my beds under this for my instrumentals. So you'll hear that, but we'll read along to what she's saying on the screen. Here we go. So the first thing says, I can't believe the camera captured our first kiss. So for those of you that are listening on the podcast, one, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington, and subscribe so you can see these things live and see the videos that I show. Anyway, so it's her and her date, her date at the time, walking back to her place. So it says, we had matched on Hinge for a month straight. We could never get our schedules aligned, but we kept at it. So they're walking up to the house, to her house, and as you can see, they're holding hands, and they're walking almost kind of slow, as if they don't want the date to end, but they're just doing like a little leisurely walk, holding hands. Okay, so now they step up to the front porch. So at this point, for those of you guys that are watching this, you can see they are standing in front of each other, and now she's starting to talk to him a bit, and he's a little bit taller than her, so she's definitely looking up. She has like the biggest smile on her face, as if she feels so lucky that she was able to go out with this guy on a date. So the caption says, the first time we met, he also met 12 of my friends at once. Now, you guys know, I do not advise you guys trying to meet her friends so early on. This is an outlier situation, guys. This is not a thing that's going to happen all the time, okay? So I still say, do not try to be introducing each other to each other's friends on those first couple of dates. Just because it worked out here doesn't mean that it's going to work out for you. Again, this is an outlier. You do not lose points for not having her meet your friends early on, but you risk potentially losing points. In this guy's case, it didn't happen, so good for him, but just putting that out there. All right. They're talking, she's clapping, she said the sarcastic banter with the guy was chef's kiss. How lovely. No, she's just talking to him. Now look at this. So for guys that are watching, notice she's starting to adjust herself. She's adjusting her jacket up here a little bit while she's kind of pushing her boobs forward a little bit. So she's already doing what? She's preening herself. She's trying to, in the moment, like, okay, I got to look good for this guy. I got to make sure that he sees me in a positive light. When you start to see a woman like preening herself, that's like, adjusting her clothes, tilting her hat because she's wearing a hat in the video, maybe playing with the hair a little bit. These are all signs that she's trying to prime herself up for you, and in hopes that you're going to judge her in a positive way. All right. She says, so the caption says, I was too scared to kiss him that night, though. So I'm glad she's putting these prompts here, because here's the thing, guys. A lot of you guys, you'll go on dates and you're going to be thinking the whole time, okay, I want to kiss her, but I can't tell she's ready for a kiss. And she's not, saying, hey, it's cool for you to kiss me, so I don't know if I should make a move. But she's telling us right here, in that moment, she wanted a kiss. She was desperate for it. She was not going to ever come out and say, hey, come and kiss me. She was not going to lean up against him and try to get a kiss. Why? Because if you think rejection is bad on our side, guys, rejection for women it's like, and their emotions, like, because for us, it's like, it sucks. It hits at our ego because we want to be attracted or whatever. It hits at their feelings. If they, in their thought process, if they go for a kiss and they get rejected, you're not just rejecting the kiss, you're rejecting her, you're rejecting the way that she is in life. You're saying she's disgusting. And that is a huge blow to a woman's ego. So instead of outright saying it to you, she's going to preen herself. She's going to get herself ready for you to be able to kiss her, as she's doing in this video clip. So you see also, she's standing. Notice that she's standing and she's leaning a little bit forward. So she's leaning in as if she's saying, I'm ready for this kiss. I'm already going to prepare myself. I'm going to lean closer to him so my face is closer to his face in hopes that this is going to happen. Okay, she's laughing at something he said. She says in the caption, it was cold outside, so he gave me his jacket. And so now he's touching her face. This is a good tester. So he's touching her face and neck a little bit. And that's a good tease to see, like, okay, when you do that, guys, what's her reaction? If you touch her on the face, is she repelling back, or is she just kind of leaning into your hand? That's a really good way for you as a guy to start getting the idea of, like, okay, I think this could be a kiss. I'm not too sure. Let me create this moment and see what happens. All right. So here we go. Now he's moving. He's touching her arm. So clearly, whatever they were doing on the date, they built up to where this kind of touch he knows is going to be perfectly acceptable. But he's just kind of slowly like rubbing her arm up and down while she's like, again, leaning into it and also kind of just looking at him, almost like she's staring off into space, right? So she says, walked me to my car and hugged me by. So now they are again still talking. He's now grabbed her two hands. And so he's now grabbed her hand and he's pulled it up to kiss her hand as if to say bye. And notice she's not pulling the hand away. She's not rejecting him, but he's doing this because this is like, these are all teasers. So what has he done so far? He didn't go from like, I'm talking to her to her face to just going in for the kiss. What's he done? He looked at her. He held her face for a little bit first. He rubbed her arm and then he went and kissed her hand. Okay. So what he's doing is he's upping the ante. He's making her anticipate if the kiss on the lips is going to happen. Building up anticipation for women is very important because keep in mind, women typically work more like a dial. Guys are like on and off switches. It goes from like, I'm not horny to, oh, I'm horny. Women, the more you dial them up, the hotter they actually get for you. So this is actually a good thing that he's doing where it's like he went from, again, touching her face to rubbing her arm to now kissing her hand. And even then she's like, oh my God, is this going to lead to a kiss? Nothing's happening yet. So the hand, and then he holds her hand as he's walking off, and then he starts walking off, right? And then the caption says, and even in this clip, I was too scared to make a move. So again, she's like, I want to kiss this guy, but I'm afraid to make a move. Now, we get it, guys. We're like, we tell women all the time, like, we are pretty much ready for physicality at any given time. You want to kiss us, you want to jump our bones. As long as you say it's go, we are great to go. But why would a woman be so apprehensive? This goes to the idea that we project onto other people the things that we do or things that we think and feel, right? So because women are typically the ones that are like, well, I don't know if I want to kiss him yet, or I don't know him well enough, so I don't want him to make that move on me. They think that we're the same thought process. They're thinking, if I make a kiss on him and he doesn't want it, he's going to reject me. And most dudes are like, if you made the first move and kiss me, I'd be making out with you the rest of the night. Like, so you got to understand, they're coming from their perspective, which is, I wouldn't want a kiss that I wasn't ready for, so I don't want to do the same thing to him, all right? So this is another reason why women usually aren't going to just come out and say, hey, I want to kiss you, or just go for the kiss, right? They're going to look for these signals. They're going to look at you to see what moves you're making that are indicating that, oh, it's go time, all right? And so you as a guy got to know there's going to be some times, admittedly, where you're going to read the signals wrong. You're going to go for that kiss, and it's going to be the wrong time. But more often than not, the kind of signals that she's throwing are going to be great indicators. And then this guy did a great job of feeling up to, is this the right moment for a kiss? Do I think she's down for it? If so, then I know I got to make the move. If not, then I'm not going to, right? So he's walking off. She says in this clip, she was too scared to make a move. He's holding her hand and then he walked off. She's standing there like, he says in the caption, I thought he was too scared to kiss me also. Until he ran back and said, I missed. So, but in the clip, you see she's standing there looking off like, oh, I really wanted that kiss. Oh, why didn't it happen? She doesn't know at this point that he's about to turn around. So then this happens. Walking off, stop. runs back, he's leaning on the pole, grabs her face, and goes for the kiss. So, this is a great example, actually, what we'll go into in a minute. But suffice to say, she was not thinking that kiss was going to happen. All hope was lost. He was walking away. And then he turns around and comes back and jokingly says, "Oh, sorry, I kissed your hand. I totally missed." And then goes in. He made it playful. He made it fun. Even when he pulled her in, he was pulling her in very, very slowly to make it like that Hollywood style kiss, So he did a great job at making the experience of that first kiss a very memorable one, on top of the fact that she also accidentally recorded it, which was also fantastic. So this is to give you guys an idea of what we're going to talk about in a minute, which is creating an experience for women that's going to build up attraction for you and make them want to do the things that you want them to do. But for those of you that have been, lost about what is it that women do when they're ready to get a kiss, that's a perfect example. All the stuff she was doing in terms of how she was standing, how she was leaning, how she was looking at him, how she was kind of playing and swaying back and forth a little bit, grabbing his hand, like all these things were great signals. Now, caveat is this, guys. Obviously, if all that's happening and you go for the kiss and she rejects it, then hey, you're not going to try to force a kiss on a woman that's saying she really doesn't want it. But also, that is a woman that is going to be in the maybe state and is wishy-washy. Do not continue to date her, because it's different if she said, if she wasn't giving all the signals and then didn't want the kiss, right? If she was just standing there, whatever, and then you go in for it, she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's different than, hey, she's stroking her hair and she's like leaning up and giving you those eyes, and then you go in and nothing. Now you're dealing with a woman that is potentially dangerous, and I say do not deal with her. But also, always, if they say no, it's a no. Don't go any further, all right? But hopefully that gives you guys that maybe we're lost in that, a better example of like what that looks like when a woman actually wants a kiss, all right? So that's that. Yes, please get up the likes. If you're liking the content, if you are finding any of this to be valuable, definitely either go to the website and get an ebook or consider donating to the Cash App here at $Harry Wilmington. I do these shows for free to give you guys information, but yes, it costs money with lights and other things like that, right? So with all that said, and also guys, this show is ultimately about you. If you guys have any questions you want to ask me during the course of the show, like the guy did earlier, definitely leave your questions in the chat. I'll be more than happy to get to them within the course of this show, all right? You can also write me at harry@introvertdatingsuccess.com if you have a longer question that you want me to answer on a dedicated show, or if you want to sign up for coaching, write me about your situation, and again, we can figure all that out. All right, so with that said, let us get into the main crux of the show, which is how to up a woman's experience of you in dating. So I came across this interesting video by the relationship person named Stephan Speaks. I think it's either Stephen or Stephan. I think it might be Stephen. Stephan Speaks, right? And actually, I saw him recently because I went to one of those Tonight's Conversations things. Like if you guys are on TikTok or on social media, you've seen the Tonight's Conversations crew where it's a bunch of panelists that get up and talk about relationships. They take audience questions and then they do a full-on panel answer to it, right? So I got to go to one of those live where he was there, and also Shan Bougie was there too. So it was really, really great live light that I went to. But suffice to say, so this guy puts out a video, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the screen here. Let me add to the stage and I'll pause this. So this is the guy. His name is Stephan Speaks, and he did this video called "Things Men Don't Understand About Women," and that's a standard talking point that a lot of us gurus make. I probably made a few videos about that myself, but he mentioned this one thing in this video that I thought was actually worth exploring, because even though it's sometimes I'll know to do a thing, but I won't have like an explained term for it. And so this guy had a term for that I thought would be beneficial for you guys to know about, so that way you can go forth in your dating life knowing this. So we're gonna get into this guy's video, and I'm gonna stop along the way to give commentary on what he's talking about, all right? So let's get into it.
Harsh truth that men learn too late about women, which really goes well with the whole sex issue. For a lot of women, the experience trumps the content.
So I want to say that again, right? He's talking about the experience trumping the content. What does that mean? Let's listen to him talk.
All right. Here's what I mean by that. And let me start off with an example. So for a lot of women, they can go to an event. Let's say it's a women's empowerment event. It has decorations, it has pictures, it has all this, the ambiance is amazing. It has all these wonderful things that enhances the experience. when you get down to the content, the actual meat of the message, they literally could have walked away learning nothing new, okay? But because the experience was so amazing, they still enjoyed themselves.
Now that's an interesting note, right? Like for him to say, and I've seen this before where women will go to conferences and there'll be like a 2 or 3 day conference and you go there, the decorations are up, the DJ's blasting some music, there's vibes going, women are on stage crying and whatever. And the whole thing is just like this emotional like experience for them. And yet it's not that they wouldn't have content that's there, but it could have literally been content that they could have gotten from a book. Like the number of gurus that, for example, they'll sell like a book that's like $4, right? And then women will be convinced off these books and off these YouTube videos or whatever to go to these conferences. Well, they'll pay $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 to go there to get the same content that they could have gotten for $4 from a book, because there are going to be other people there. There's going to be live stuff. And there's going to be prizes given out. There's going to be all this music. And there's going to be people there that they might not be able to see live. And so women will pay, and guys will too, but like women will pay like a bunch of money. Why? To be involved in the experience, to not miss out on an event that she knows other people that she knows are going to go to, And so the experience of that, the vibe she's able to feel, how that makes her feel as a woman, that stuff is way more important than the content. Now, as a guy, that is probably a very frustrating thing, because I know myself as a guy, like, for example, when I go to church, the times that I go to church, people are there and they're singing, there's choir clapping along, and they're like trying to do all these prayers and touching hands and that. And I'm literally like, I just want to go there. I want to hear the preacher preach for 30 minutes, and then I want to go home. I'm going there for the message. Darn what the building looks like. Darn what the songs sound like. I want the message that I came for, and then I want to go home. And that I find is a lot of guys. Not all guys, but there's a good portion of guys where it's like, but what's the content? Like all this stuff is whatever, but it doesn't matter. I just want to know, is the content that I'm going to get be worth my time? And this is a huge difference in chasm that is difference between men and women, which is an important thing for you as a guy to know. Here's why. Let's continue on.
They take pleasure in the details. They take pleasure in creating that overall experience. Another example I'll use, I remember seeing a girl on Twitter saying, she wants a man who's going to take her out on a date, then they go dancing, then they go home and make love and all this stuff, right? What she was really saying is she wants the experience, that whole going to dinner, being romance, all these things. That experience is what actually makes her be more open and receptive sexually, and it actually will allow her to enjoy the sex more, even though the actual sexual content itself may not be anything amazing.
Yeah, I forgot. So this video is primarily talking to guys as it pertains to like why it is that some women start to lose their libido or aren't as prone to want to be with them sexually as much as they'd like to be, right? But everything he's saying here is absolutely correct. Like the whole thing about when he says, women will say things like, I just want a guy that's going to like wine me and dine me, and a guy that I can go to and cry when I'm feeling sad, and somebody to eat dinner with. Very rarely are women saying, I want a guy that I can have a stimulating conversation with. I want a guy that's going to tell me all about his job and tell me about the things he sees in the future and talk to me in a specific type of tone and style. Like, even though there is a level of that, like they definitely want a person whose conversation they can enjoy. But when I talk to women about like experiences they've had, they'll be like, oh yeah. And then, I went on a date with this guy and, we had a conversation, but he took me to this place and did this thing, blah, blah, blah. Like, the details of the conversation rarely come up when they're telling me about their experience. What they're telling me about is the ambiance of the place, what the guy was wearing, how tall he was, a funny thing he said that made her laugh, the kind of drink that they had, how he smelled so good, what he was doing that made her just fall head over heels in love. Like, it's rarely, but he had this kind of conversation and said he worked at this place and this thing. Like, and even if on the internet today, women will have you believe, well, I need a guy that can stimulate my mind with intellect and blah, blah, blah. I was a guy that was in honors classes and had I was pretty ahead above most of my peers. I can assure you my so smart intellectual conversation was not winning over. You know what it was? The times that I was funny, the times that I made them laugh, the times that I was able to put on a nice suit and smell good. Those are the things that got me a lot better results than talking educationally about X, Y, and Z and the things that I find like that stuff is fine to have, but it's not the overall thing that women are looking for. So what he's expressing is women are coming into the space and saying, I want to have the experience that's going to make me feel like I'm connected to this person. Not, I want to have an intellectual dialogue that's going to stimulate my brain where I'm like, oh, he logically makes sense for me to want to date. And that's where most guys get annoyed, because most guys are like, I've done it too, so I'm not calling anybody out. I wouldn't call myself out, but like going on a date thinking, okay, a woman needs to know where I'm from, what my family life's like, and she needs to know like the what my credit score is like and the kind of car. Like we go on dates thinking, I got to spill out all these factual things about myself in order for her to analyze that and make a decision. Part of why I say it takes a woman 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings is she needs 2 to 3 months to develop what it's like to have the experience of you being around. And she's not going to get the fullness of that in a first date. It's going to take her time to have an abundance of experiences with you that are pleasurable before she decides this is the guy for me.
But the whole experience was. So when you understand that as a man and you learn how to enhance the experience, you can make everything feel better for her. All right. So even if you're going to do something special for her, let's say you want to take her on a special vacation. This is why, pay attention, when women try to do something nice and extravagant for a man, it's all these details and all this extra stuff that we may not even care about.
Yep. You know what I realized that many, many years ago? So when I give out gifts, right? When I give out gifts for Christmas or for birthdays, amongst my family members, they just know. The fact that I bought the gift at all is more important than what I wrap it in. So I will literally give my brother, my mom, my cousins, like, oh, I put this in a random box that I found here. Or, oh, I just wrapped some paper around it and here, some newspaper, and here you go, And, my family, I'm not trying to date them. So my family, they're like, they understand at this point what I'm about. And so they're just happy they got the gift. It is what it is. But what I noticed when I started dating, and like it was going long term, it was going into like holidays and birthdays, was that every girl that I dated, when it came time to give me a gift, it would be like the most outstanding looking bag that they could have gotten from like Target or Walmart. It'd be full of this frilly paper. It would have a nice scent to it. And so I was like thinking to myself, I don't need all this. Like if they had just said, oh, by the way, here, I'd have been totally fine. But what were these women doing? They were creating the experience of the gift. They were creating like the unknown and the mystery of it. And, oh, he's going to pull it out and be so surprised. And I want to see that feeling when he doesn't know what it is when you just hand it to him, And so after a few relationships, I learned, okay, if I'm giving a gift to a woman that I'm dating, the logical brain side of me is like, the only thing that matters is the content of this gift, right? But the reality is that I got far better results and reactions from women when I would dress up these gifts in a nice bag, when I would take time to actually wrap it in a present. And I found that they like that a lot more because, again, they recognize, oh, I'm putting effort into this. I had to think about what they would like as the bag or as the wrapping, in addition to also thinking about the gift. So it works on a variety of levels that equates to a woman as, oh my God, he's giving me the experience of getting this gift. And that's when I really started to understand the importance of, okay, women really, the content is great, guys, but the experience, let me pull this down for a second. I will prove this, all right? So let me just do this real quick here. So hold on a second here. Let me get to my settings. Let's see, go to here. Okay, so be prepared, guys. You ready for this? All right, check this out. This is my backdrop. This right here. This is my green screen, right? So whereas before you had the impression that I was in front of, you guys probably knew it was green screen, but like you had the impression like, oh, there's books, there's a shelves. That background conveys a certain image that I'm trying to project to you guys when I'm doing shows. Now, if I were to say, do this backdrop, now I'm in a studio, right? So now it's like, it would make no sense for me to be talking about dating stuff in a recording studio. I should be talking about like music or like other things that pertain to like, hip hop or whatever, oh, Kendrick and Drake. Oh my God. Like that would make sense in front of this backdrop, right? It would make so much sense for me to be like, hey guys, welcome to the Introverted Dating Success Show from my recording studio. Unless I was talking about the music I was making, By the way, Kevin Samuels was right. Get the album at the website. Anyway, so suffice to say, this shows you guys, depending on the background that I have, you're going to get a different feeling for the experience that you're now having based on what's behind me, right? And so guys do get on some level that we're here to how we're enjoying a thing. It really is dependent upon the experience being created for us, you know? And so when you as a guy are trying to impress women, you got to be mindful that just like this backdrop here, you're going to have a different feel for what's going on based on what I decide to put back there. So what you're bringing to the table with women is going to be very, very important for their experience. This is why, you know, for example, on a first date, right? A lot of guys get bummed out about, oh, I got to spend all this money. It's not even about the money, but usually the money that's going to be spent equates with the kind of backdrop or the kind of ambiance you're going to be giving a woman on a first date. And so when you're just like, let's just meet at any old coffee shop, like a coffee shop, like a Starbucks or Coffee Bean or whatever. Well, women are going to look at that and be like, I mean, I want to meet you, guy, and I get it. We're just here to talk or whatever, but those places are low-key kind of like mid. Like a Starbucks, there's other people there. Conversations can be heard. It's not intimate. And so some of you guys are thinking the women aren't dating you because of the money. It's about she's looking at the experience you're trying to create, and they're thinking, no, like, I'm going to get dressed up for this and put some heels on and wear some makeup for you to take me to a coffee shop. Like, no. Now, I've taken women to places that have a nicer ambiance and still don't cost all that much. You know, I've done like pizza places where I can split a pizza with a girl for $25. You know, I can take her to like PF Chang's and we just get some appetizers or drinks, but the bar looks really nice. There's music playing. There's low level light, which, spoiler guys, low level light, it causes our pupils to dilate and it makes women think that we're more attractive than we actually are. So you got to look at, when you're asking women on dates, what's the experience you're putting forth to her that's going to make her decide if she wants to even go with you on this date or just be like, because like the guy said, women are going to be paying for experiences on their own accord that they're going to be making sure everything's nice. When women plan vacations for themselves, they are planning everything down to the T. They're planning the 3 different outfits they're going to wear, what the colors are going to be. They're looking at every single hotel, if it has a bathroom in it or not, or if you got to share with other people. They're looking at what do the trees look like outside the window. Like, these are things that guys are just like, look, we're talking, if I go backpacking in another country, I go to a hostel. I'm caring about the content of the trip, which is, I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to go eat some places. Where I rest my head, it should be of no concern because I'm going to be doing most of my stuff outside the hotel. That is very guy logical thinking versus women are like, when I get back, I want to have a bubble bath to sit in. And I want to be able to go to the hotel restaurant and have some nice ambiance there. Like, they're going to be thinking about stuff on that level, you know? And so they're hoping that the guys that they're going out with and saying yes to are going to create experiences for them, just like this guy. Just like this guy did, where it's like the whole experience of that first kiss was like, he's being playful with it. He's touching her on the face. He's about to run away and leave her with lost hope. And then she runs back to her and says, oh, and makes a movie moment for her that she gets to capture on film and see for all time. Like, this dude did everything he needed to do to create the experience of that perfect first kiss. And some of you guys are just like sitting there like, okay, it's been like 2 hours on this date. I'm going to lean in and kiss her. You're not creating an experience. There's no transitions for her to be able to build up to that feel of wanting that. And that could be another reason why you're losing out. But I digress. Continue.
We're not even paying attention to that because to us, it boils down to the content most of the times. What's the meat of this? But for her, it's all this other stuff. And so sometimes when men try to do something nice for their girl and they miss hugely on the experience, they're frustrated with the fact that maybe she's not as excited or happy with it. So it's almost like, another example I'll use is a man proposing. If you just had a ring and said, here's the ring, let's get married, right? Even though you're still proposing, even though the plan is still to get married, you ruined the experience. You know what I'm saying? You didn't add anything to the experience to make it memorable and more enjoyable. Being mindful of that is going to help you win a lot of points.
Yeah, guys. So, and this is the thing too, right? Like, women are always going to be judging you mostly on the effort she feels you're putting forth in things. The amazing part is it's not really all that hard to create an experience for women with you that's going to make you stand out. And it's going to make her feel like you are the guy that she wants unequivocally because you know how to make her feel things that no other guys do. So as a guy, how can you then go about being able to do a better job of creating experiences for women that's going to draw them to you? All right. And this goes to, like, you have to really start putting more effort into the peripheral things, the things that you feel that as a guy, you're like, this is so unimportant because you're thinking all that matters is how I am. If I'm nice to her, if I maybe got a good job or whatever, then if I know how to have a conversation, then these things long run are going to be more important than the experience of what I'm trying to bring or what something looks like or feels like. Guy, on some level, you're right. Like, 50 years from now, if she's in a hospital somewhere, it's not going to matter if you wear a suit to the hospital or if you wear like sweats to the hospital as you're looking after her as she's like dying from cancer or something, right? Like that, you're absolutely right on that, right? But there is something to be said for the fact that women want to be romanced. Women want the experience of being with a guy that they feel like gets it. And that experience also shows her that you're willing to work to impress her. And just like she's trying to impress you, she's going to want to see some level of that. And that starts with you trying to create these experiences, right? So, and by the way, this is stuff that I talk about extensively in my Introvert Dating Success coaching program. So if you want a more deep dive into all the things you could be doing to up your game with women, consider checking out that program at the website. But I'm gonna give you a few little pointers here because you're here watching this live, all right? So to start off with, guys, very, very important, get your grooming up. Like, again, women are gonna show up on dates with you, at the very least, having done some minimal makeup to make their face look fresh. They're gonna try to put their best foot forward. Like in that clip, that girl had a nice little flowery dress on and a nice little sweater because she was trying to give off femininity. She was trying to push to this guy, hey, I'm a woman and I want you to find me pretty and desirable. She was doing her part, right? I imagine he was doing his part as well. But suffice to say, guys, so yeah, you come into a date and wearing like a wrinkled shirt or just some sweats and a sweatpants. And I want to stress, by the way, this is a generality. What I'm going to tell you guys is generalities. Yes, there are some women you'll be able to get away with just dressing how whatever. I'd say you're probably in like the 9 or 10 percentile of like dudes that look the hottest that anybody ever looks in life, and you can get away with whatever. Most of you guys are coming into this mid-range where women are going to be like, okay, he's like a mid-palate. What is he going to add to that palette to make me interested, right? So this starts with things like your grooming habits. This starts with things like, what are you wearing on dates? This starts with things like when you're picking a certain environment. This starts with things like simple things like having your car cleaned, having your place ready to go, because on the off chance that she wants to come back to your place for a nightcap, your room's not messy. Your place doesn't smell weird. The number of places I go where like the guy's place is unkempt and it smells weird. And like, how are you getting girls to come here? The answer is they're not, because they're not being mindful that when women come to your spot, they're going to want to experience an experience there too. Whether it's like you have classy music on versus you're playing a bunch of like hardcore rap stuff, or you have like, an elegant wine versus like you got like Mike's Hard Lemonade. These things are going to give her insights into the kind of guy you are and the kind of experiences you're going to be willing to give to her, And so these are things that are very fixable. You going from like, hey, I'm going to wear a wrinkly shirt to I'm going to just press iron a shirt. That makes a really big difference for women. You being able to slow down your speech a little bit, you being able to go on dates and chew with your mouth closed and be able to, like talk to the waiter in a positive way and be able to do things to make her laugh. Like these are simple things you can do as a guy that are going to allow her to have a better experience with you. And we want that, Now, part of the building experience also comes after the date. A lot of the stuff I talk about on these shows, like not contacting her between dates and making sure that you're only using the phone to ask for dates and not trying to see her all the time. These are things that create desire to see you. They build up anticipation. Well, guess what, guys? The experience of anticipating seeing you is also an experience that women need to go through, because let's say the content of that would be if you're just like, yes, I already like you and I'm gonna contact you every single day because I don't want to play games and blah, blah, blah. You're now not giving her an experience of that she needs in order to like you. The experience of mystery, the experience of not knowing when you're going to call, the experience of anticipation. These are things that if you're not creating them as a guy, then you are seriously causing a lot of women that would date you to lose interest, because that experience is very vital and necessary in order for them to build attraction to you faster. Okay. So take what this guy said at heart, which is that ultimately at the end of the day, guys, yes, who you are as a person is very important. And you do want to talk about some of those things in the course of going on a date. But at the end of the day, more so than the things you're talking about, what's going to be extra important is the experiences that you are creating for these women that you're going out with. So you got to ask yourself the question, are you currently in the habit of creating experiences that most women want, or are you showing up on dates in a way giving women experiences that they don't want? If you are a guy that's showing up on dates and you're nervous and you're anxious and you're over talking her and you're not asking her questions, you're not making her laugh, you're showing up in bummy outerwear, you're being stingy about the kind of money you want to spend, even though you're the one that's picking a place, but the places you pick also suck, then you are probably a guy that's not creating the kind of experiences on average that most women want. And what we want to do is have you be able to create the kind of experiences for women that are going to have them coming back for more, to where you get to choose which one you pick versus them being like, not this guy again. I'm out of here. And if you need help with that, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can check out the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, which is a 12-week coaching program designed to help you once and for all figure out this whole thing as it pertains to your dating life, what women are actually looking for. We give you some deep dives into the things that aren't working and why, and we give you a blueprinted roadmap for what you're going to do going forward to be able to meet, greet, attract, land, and keep the women that you desire. So you can check that out at the website. So hopefully, guys, this has helped you out. So that's really all I got in terms of the content for today. Like, hopefully the experience of that for you was great. If you guys have any questions now, you can definitely ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. But yeah, we do the show every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we do this show on Saturdays sporadically, depending on when I have time to do it. And then throughout the course of the week, I've been finding that I've been doing a lot more afternoon shows at like 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, just because it's a lot easier to do these live than to have to record something and then edit it. So you can probably check these out either like 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon during the weekday, because I'll usually be live doing sporadic stuff then, answering people's questions and so forth and so on, you know? So be sure to check me out at those times as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today's show, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check back, like this video, give me a subscribe. Be sure to share this video with any friend you think that needs it. And I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace. You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high